I thought it was an interesting story, particularly is that the whole idea about wearing skirts was driven by the young people themselves. We do teach gender stereotyping from a very young age without realising that. I used to sit in playgroup with my children when they were young, and it quite often drove me mad when the playgroup leaders were saying, I heard them saying, oh, little girls don't do this, little boys don't do that. So that is gender stereotyping from a very young age that we do unconsciously.
But isn't
Quite
it
often as parents we do that.
But isn't it true that, it is not clear 100% what is physiological or biological and what is social and cultural? I mean, you might go to any country across the world and it might be expressed in different ways, but boys and girls do have different cultural expectations. And I think, I remember when I was a little girl, I was very stereotypically girly, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I mean, do you not worry that we are, as adults, imposing our own prejudices and anxieties about gender onto children when actually some kids just naturally are quite gendered, and some girls are feminine and like to do girl things, and some boys are masculine and like to do typically boy things? What's the problem with that?
Yes, of course. As adults, we impose our ideas, again, subconsciously, without thinking about it on our children. And we impose our religion and our social views, as well as our gender views on our children when we're rearing them, because that's just our own blueprint in our heads about how people should behave.
So do you want a totally androgynous society then?
No, not at all. In fact, I have 3 children and 2 of them have same-sex partners. So, I just think we should be allowed to express ourselves in however we turn out.
But don't kids also need guidance? When you have a 4 or 5 or primary school year old child, they don't know much about society. And I wouldn't, trust a little kid to be able to, know everything about how they should behave in the world. Isn't it the responsibility of adults to understand what's right and to guide the kids in behavioural norms so that they can fit in and be in a socially cohesive society?
In behavioural norms to a certain extent, but if you are a child growing up doubting your own sexuality, then you can feel very isolated